One, two, 1, 2. Y'all thumbs up in the comment if the audio is coming through. Let me know if the audio is coming through. I'll wait for y'all thumbs up there. What a day, what a day, what a day. Good, 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 good. All right, so we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you drop your comments. There's a lot of them, so I'm not catching all of them, but I'm having to work as the producer and everything tonight. I haven't been live in a good little while, but thank y'all for tuning in. This is a special edition, just an emergency podcast. I don't have a regular podcast that I do. I used to. Maybe we'll bring it back, but tonight I just want to come up and a lot of chatter about a lot of different things, and y'all know what I'm talking about. But also, we'll be having a guest. We'll be having a guest that's coming in. Somebody says, okay, audio is crunchy. Everybody, hold on. Hold on. Gain is too high. Audio is bad. Fading in and out. That is not a good start. Let me see. See, this is why when I tell y'all to support, buy merch, and all these different things to fund stuff. This is why. This is why. So we can have good working microphones and things. So are we better? Is the audio better? Somebody said, oh my God, my ears. Hold on. I'm trying, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. No, still chalked. Somebody said a cable loose. That's the second thing I was going to check on. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. That's it? Good now? Better? All right. Good, good. No, it was just some settings, y'all. It was some settings I figured. All right, there we go. Everybody's saying it's better. All right. Y'all funny. All right, so we gonna get into it, man. And I've got a special guest coming on that I'm excited about. As we talk about football and we talk about the season, I wanted to bring on somebody that I know is going to be honest. He knows his football, he knows his stuff. So we'll get into him in a minute. But I promise not to have y'all here, hopefully not more than 30 minutes or so. But let's start it off, man. The weekend recap. Um, I know we all mostly watched the games last night, watched the conference championships, most notably the ACC and then the SEC. I thought the winner of the SEC championship was going to be in regardless between Georgia and Texas. Now, it would have been interesting to see if Georgia had lost uh, with them having 3 losses now, how that could have played out. So that could have got a little bit interesting, but they pulled it off in overtime in dramatic fashion. So that wasn't an issue. So then it all came down to SMU versus Clemson. Clemson was up big for most of the game. Fourth quarter, here comes SMU doing what they could do. It looks like they were going to force overtime. Clemson gets a late 50-something yard field goal for the victory, and that's when I just honestly became concerned because that was the doomsday scenario for Alabama, was that SMU would lose. And then, as we know today, earlier this morning, the committee decided that SMU was going to go in over Alabama. And hey, it is what it is. I'm kind of at peace about it. But you know, we want to see more football. I do want to give Bama fans. Okay, my man said it was apparently he's a big fan here. He wants me to get it right. Andrew says it was 56 yards. Okay, get it right. Andrew may be a Clemson fan. I'm not sure, but All right. My guest says he'll be here in about 2 minutes, so I'm just warming y'all up before he gets here because we're gonna talk, and then at the end we're gonna open it up for Q&A and get your questions. So don't put your questions in the comments right now because they'll get lost in the shuffle. So just wait to the Q&A portion. To me, this is why I'm at peace, is because I think Alabama was their own worst enemy. I think the teams that they lost to, maybe not Tennessee, of course they're all beatable, but I think the teams that they lost to, they just really laid an egg. You can blame it on the players, you can blame it on coaching scheme or whatever, but they lost. And when you lose to Vanderbilt and then a 5-5, 5-6, 6-5 Oklahoma, you put yourself in a bad position, and that just is what it is. When you're looking at the craziest part about this season was everybody wants to now focus on the losses of Alabama, but I think as Bama fans, we were looking at the wins. How much weight did the wins carry versus the losses? Because if you're looking at the wins, beating Georgia, snapping their regular season streak that went on for years, big win over South Carolina, LSU and Death Valley. Who am I forgetting? I still think, now I know Wisconsin didn't have a great year, but to go up there early in the season to their house, to Camp Randall, I think at that time, with this being a new team, I still consider that very much a quality win. And then Auburn was heating up toward the end of the year, but we threw a little water on that fire and got a win in the Iron Bowl. So everybody's saying Mercer. So, Missouri, that's who I was thinking about. Thank you, love. I knew it was one more that I was missing. So that was it. I felt like, all the damage that was done, they did to themselves. And I don't want to take anything away from the other teams. I really don't. Vanderbilt had a great season. How can you, if you take off the crimson glasses, and how can you not be happy for Vandy? They're always the butt of everybody's jokes. You know how we do them. Everybody goes and take over their stadium. It's always more the visiting color there. So just a sideways kind of way, I was kind of happy for Vandy, even though it was at our expense. But you got to show up and play every day. But what happened at Oklahoma, I don't get it. I don't get it. I thought we were trending in the right direction for a few games, and then we just went up there and laid an egg. Scoring 3 points. Now, there were 2 touchdowns by Ryan Williams. That was called back for penalties. So, take that for what you can call. I do think the last touchdown that he had that got called back because they said that he covered up the wide receiver, that could have been a momentum changer, but it was already late in the game. Why would we even put why did we even put ourselves in that situation? So, again, like I said, I got a special visitor on, somebody I know loves to talk college football. He knows his stuff, and he's going to be honest. That's why I got him on here, because I don't need nobody doing the political stuff. He's going to tell it like it is, and that's how we're going to have a good conversation. We'll do about 3, maybe 4 questions, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. But this is my guy, man. I appreciate what they do so much. And yes, he is an Auburn fan to the heart. Him and his boys, they love Auburn, but they got a great podcast that they do. I think it's daily now, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm subscribed to YouTube, and I get the notifications just to see what they're doing. Always great information. They have some great guests. It's called The War Report, if any Auburn fans in here. But my man Mike Giddens, what's up, brother?
What's going on, funny man? Look, you're one of us.
Not quite. Let's get this out the way. No, we're not one of you. No, so we're not in the playoff, but you guys are not even in a bowl game.
That's true.
So
but I would argue the whatever toilet bowl you guys are going to is not more prestigious than where we're at, which is at home. This bowl season.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we got a trip to Tampa. Tampa is nice, so that's the best we could do.
Yeah,
I have not been yet. I've been meaning to get down there. Hope we'll see. We'll do some things. I see my man T Pip, all the Auburn fans in now. They see a familiar face on the screen. But let's get into it, Mike. From your perspective, just an outsider looking at Alabama, I think we kind of touched on the obvious. But what went wrong? Do you think for Alabama this season?
What's funny is I went on Feinbaum in August and got absolutely obliterated by Bama fans saying, "Look, you can't expect to lose the greatest coach to ever coach and think that there's not going to be some drop off." And at the end of the day, there were a lot of Alabama fans that felt like, he's got a good roster and, he's a good coach and he did this at Washington. And I was like, look, his conference no longer exists. The Pac died for a reason. They don't play pass defense in that conference. They had everybody was a 3,000-yard passer in the Pac somehow. And I asked him at media, I asked Kalen DeBoer myself at media days. I said, what is your plan, sir, for the defenses that you're going to face in the SEC? It's different in the South. It is very different in the South. And he said, well, we've done what we've done, where we've done it, and we feel like it's going to work. And I think he ran into some buzzsaws this year. If you had on your bingo card that Alabama would play a game where they would not score a touchdown this year, everybody would have called you crazy. But it happened. And I don't think that I think he was underprepared in some ways for what he would face in the SEC personally. By composite rating, he inherited the most talented roster any coach has ever inherited. So we're not talking, this wasn't a rebuild. Funny man, this wasn't a rebuild. Like at the very least, you make the back end of the playoff. And they lost some games inexplicably. And it could have been worse. I mean, South Carolina came really close. Playing in Tuscaloosa didn't feel like the formidable challenge that it was before in the past, and that's where you ended up. So I think he got his indoctrination into what Southern football really is. Right, the passions, the reason that you're making as much money as you're making, sir, is because we care more down here, flat out. You're not making that. And coaching is what is the premium because everybody's searching for the next Nick Saban. That's what everybody's dishing out dollars for, the next Nick Saban. And I feared for my Bama friends that DeBoer was not it. And as it turns out, he wasn't. He did a lot of things that we haven't seen in Alabama in a lot of years, and they weren't positive things.
All right. So everybody was talking about the echo, y'all. So I'm gonna mute my mic when Mike is going because I think his voice comes through my speaker, makes the echoes look like we cleared it up. But I think you made some legitimate points, and I do think that there was some lessons learned by DeBoer and his staff. Hopefully, for them to prepare for next season. With that in mind, let's get into it, man. You as an outsider, definitely not a Bama fan, an Auburn guy. Give Coach Kalen DeBoer a letter grade as an outsider from what he was able to accomplish. And you guys can weigh in the comments too and jump in with your letter grades. By Mike.
This year was a B minus for me. It's a B. He won 9 games. That's a solid B for me. And I think when you look at the totality of their schedule, he won some tough games, he won some close games, but he also lost some games that he should not have lost. And that Oklahoma game stands out to this is what drags him down from a B plus to a B minus. Oklahoma was inexcusable. That was an inexcusable loss. I thought it was inexcusable when Auburn lost to Oklahoma, given all the people they had out for that game. But letting Jackson Arnold look like the next coming of Peyton Manning on y'all, like, come on, man. Like that was pretty inexcusable. And when you look at what Kalen DeBoer did, I think B minus is fair because again, you inherited a fringe Heisman candidate quarterback, and one of the most talented rosters any coach has ever been handed. And you missed the playoff. You missed a 12-team playoff. So yeah, it's B. I think the grade is B minus, and I think that's fair. I'm not going to be one of these crazy people that says C or F or like no man. It was a B minus, and uh, the other thing about that too is think about this. Uh, I was looking at the recruiting rankings yesterday, And only in the SEC can you finish in the top 6 in recruiting, but still be only 4th in your conference in recruiting. Crazy, right? Like that's how high the bar is in conference, and that's why I think B minus is a fair grade for a 9-win season in the NFL and in the NFL in the SEC. Might as well be the NFL. Hell,
Yeah.
they're taking all
Some
out
some
players.
people some people would say, hey, it's kind of NFL ish. Um, I think I'm gonna give him a a B, and I was teetering between B minus or C. But as I looked at
Mm.
the totality of what he, if y'all see me mute, I do got a little cough thing going on, but whatever. Coming in, I think he got hired 2, maybe 3 days after the greatest coach in college football history. He came in kind of, wide eyed, and that, there really was no learning curve for him between mid January when he was hired, till kickoff, or basically up until April during the spring game. So I think what happens by default is this first season became his entire learning curve. Our first issue with him as fans was his wardrobe. Why is he wearing t-shirt? He didn't probably think that was a thing.
T-shirt gate
So
was funny.
you know what I'm saying? So I just think there was a lot of cultural differences that he had to adjust to. I think he's a guy that knows football. I think adding Kane Womack, who's a Alabama guy, who was the head coach at South Alabama, was good. He's got some great assistants, some former players that are still on the staff that helped him get adjusted. But as a guy, me, who's still in the first 5 months of a new job in Memphis, Tennessee, there's just a learning curve when you're around new people and new staff. And no, I'm not coaching football. It's an education job, but it's we just got to give him that grace, and for him to, well, I'll show you this. I was having a conversation with my buddy back over the summer. Um, my man Kev on stage, a lot of you may know, he was texting me. He was like, what's Bama going to do this year? And this is exactly what I posted back in July. I said, hey, I believe the ceiling for Alabama and DeBoer in his first years is making the playoff. Didn't do that. The floor, which means you're still in the house, 10 wins. He can get there in Orlando. And I said the basement is 8 wins. So based on the beat that I just gave him is what I thought back in July. Like if he can get to the floor, 10 wins, I think he's done well, and I'm gonna stand by that. You had something else you want to add on that?
I'm not sure that I get having a floor and a basement. But I will say I thought that the floor was gonna be 8 wins, right? Like I mean, you inventing levels of low. But he he was right in between there, right? Obviously at 9 wins, and that's still a really good season most years. It has you in the conversation. I had Heather Dinich from ESPN on my show last year. She caught a bunch of heat for saying that Alabama and Texas were going to make the playoff, and everyone was like, "How could you leave FSU out?" And Heather said, "Listen, prepare yourself now, right? Both these teams are making the playoff." Well, this year she said she thought that the SEC could get 5 teams in, and whenever Heather says something, I always raise my eyebrow. I'm like, okay, she spends a lot of time with the committee, so I believe her. And let me tell you something funny, man. They wanted to put 5 SEC teams in, but we flubbed it. Alabama didn't do what they were supposed to do to get in, but they wanted to put them in. Ole Miss probably more egregious than Alabama because they had the easiest path of any of the teams that we've mentioned so far. For Lane Kiffin to flub this one, I don't. That guy, man, they're frauds to me. They're the biggest frauds in the SEC. Not starting 6-0, and with that schedule, I mean, that was an easy schedule. They should have cakewalked the playoff this year. One of the best quarterbacks in college football, and one of the best play callers in Lane Kiffin. They like they got over the hump that was Georgia, and then they invented a new hump to not get over. So this is what Ole Miss did. They were like, you know
Well,
what?
I
Now that we got over the hump, let's not get over this other hump.
well, I gotta agree with you on that. I think in the previous video I called Ole Miss the Penn State of the SEC, which means they'll start off, they'll get you to a New Year's Six game, but then when they get somebody ranked in the top five on that schedule, they just lay an egg, and they've done it consistently. I think that's such a tough position to be in as an AD because it's like, okay, this guy can get us 10 wins, but he can't get us to the playoff and he can't get us to Atlanta. So do we give him a little more time or do? But that's for them to figure out. My next question here, man, I'm just gonna straight up ask you, and people in the comments will weigh in. Alabama was left out of the playoff this time. It is what it is. How much, Mike? How much is the rest of the country, the non-Bama fans, how much are people really enjoying it? Because if I had to go by social media, it looks like they are really having a good time.
Uh it's fantastic. And look, man, when you're the king of the hill for as long as Bama has been king of the hill, uh, your fall from grace is going to be hard, and people are going to laugh at you, and they're going to throw stuff, right? Yeah, I mean, you're a comedian, so you know that old thing where they throw tomatoes at the stage, right? This is what's happening right now, throwing tomatoes at Alabama. Uh, I think it's a testament to what Nick Saban built there that people are taking so much pleasure in them not making the playoff. But it also is about the bravado and lack of humility that a lot of those same fans on social media showed when people tried to, such as myself, tried to tell them there's going to be a fall off from Saban to DeBoer, and you just need to prepare yourself for it. Right now, here's what they don't understand. I mean, it could get worse. Look what happened to Oklahoma. Oklahoma in the Big 12, 9, 10 wins every year. They just got used to that. It was on autopilot that they would get there. And this first year was super humbling for Oklahoma fans in the SEC. And I think that there may be more humility on the way for Kalen DeBoer because we're going to find out about his his true quarterback acumen in this conference after post Jalen Milroe. Can he produce another championship level quarterback? Because this has become a quarterback's game and the SEC has become a quarterback league. I want to see what he's going to be able to do. He has all the resources available to him to be able to do it. He's got a rabid fan base. He's got the facilities. He's got the NIL backing, and he's got the support from the university. And you can't ask for much more than what Kalen DeBoer has right now, and I think that fans are looking at all that. So when you have all that and you don't make it, they're going to point and they're going to laugh, right? And so to answer your question, they're enjoying it a ton, right? They're enjoying it a ton, and it's no fun if you don't talk, though, right? Like this is what this is what I think we should just accept about SEC football is I'm going to talk. I know Auburn's probably going barely above 500, but it's not going to stop me from talking. And that's how you have that. Say it with your chest, man, and just take it on the chest when you don't make it. And so that's what this is. So they're enjoying this as much as they're enjoying, I think, Ole Miss fans flubbing it again. Right? Like this is all part of the process.
Nah, I'm in agreement with you. I think about 17. I know we didn't win a championship every year in that 17, but the years that we did, and it seemed like we were in the mix, ranked number one at some point every year. So with all that success, I think about looking at teams like the Yankees, the Lakers, the Chiefs right now, the Warriors. Yeah, at some point I got burned out too. So I get it. I was like, man, somebody come knock them off. And it's hard, as a guy in Crimson to understand that. But I get it. So everybody that is enjoying it, enjoy it. Now
I got
I
tired of
think
Steph.
there's
To your point, I got tired of Steph Curry. Like I got real tired of Steph Curry, and I didn't even know. I was like, why do I not like this guy? He's like the nicest guy ever, but I hate him. He's always on my
yeah,
TV winning. Somebody
I
get
think
this
it's
guy out of here.
something innate in humans that when seeing people win consistently, it just we just don't like it maybe. So even though I admire winners, you like at a certain point, you're like, hey man, all right, now somebody knock them down. Um, let's see. I think that covers all that. All right, y'all. We're gonna open it up now because the chat has been going crazy. Um, and we are Mike. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you got a question, drop it in the comments. But if you want it to go to Mike, just put at Mike and then ask it. If you want it to come to me, just at me and then ask it. Or if you just don't care who answers it, just throw your question up. I'm gonna try to grab as many as possible. We'll try to do about. We'll just let the spirit move us. So let's see here. Here's one, Mike. Nicholas Jonathan Day. Who do you think will win the Natty? We'll try to fly through these real quick. Who do you think?
I'm rolling with Georgia. I'm rolling with Georgia until somebody, not Alabama, which is not going to be Alabama this year, obviously, beats them in the playoff. I've been consistent since the beginning of the year that I still think they're the most talented team in college football. At some point, you're going to take a step back, and they set the bar really high. They set the bar Bama high in a sense, and now the expectation is championship or bust in Athens. And I'm still rolling with them. Like, I know they've had some close games this year, but there's something about teams that just find ways to win those games. 8 overtimes versus Georgia Tech and the overtime again in the SEC championship game. I was like, guys, they had 8 overtimes of practice last week. There was zero chance this one was going past one overtime. And they took care of Texas and went overtime. So I still think it's Georgia. I think Oregon is formidable. But outside of that, there's something about teams that have been there before and know how to win. And now that they have that first round bye secured, I like their path to that championship game, and if they get there, I like them to win it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I tweeted earlier. I said if Georgia can stay healthy, go ahead and give them the trophy right now because they just play a brand of bully ball that most teams just cannot match. Of course, Alabama can. I think Alabama
Right.
and Nick Saban invented that version of bully ball. Georgia's taken it. They've mastered the formula in their own way. But as we see, when they run up against Alabama, 1-9 in the last 10 matchups. Nobody else can say that. So I just think I'll try to pull up the bracket here, but I remember earlier just thinking, man, their path looks pretty sustainable there. So if they're going to get the winner of Notre Dame and Indiana. I think they're playing in the Peach Bowl, so they'll be back in Atlanta. This is pretty much a home field advantage for them as they had in the SEC. And now
Mm.
you're playing in a stadium that you're familiar with because you've had 2 games there already. I don't think Indiana nor Notre Dame is ready to play that bully ball. I don't think anybody on this side of the bracket, Boise, SMU, maybe Penn State could give them some physicality for a while, but I think Georgia's in there. And then I think that other side of the bracket is just going to pound and beat up on each other. So by the time they get to the Natty, yeah, I'm definitely not a Georgia fan, but I think Georgia is about to hoist that trophy again.
They've got a
They've got
really
a
good
really good
path.
path. Yeah, really do. All right, here's an interesting one, and I'll answer this one from Amanda. She says, is Jalen Milroe coming back next year? Mike, I want to tell you, months ago, I was this close. I mean, hold on, let me zoom in. I was closer than that. I was that close to making a video around early November about a star Bama player transferring, and it was going to be about Jalen Milroe. There was a point in the season, and now it is rehashed. I think Jalen Milroe may go the way of Jalen Hurts. I think NFL scouts are looking at him. Now, there may be someone that wants to go ahead and pick him up and then develop him, but I think if he does do college one more year, I think he's going to transfer to a situation, and I'm thinking, just me, I'm thinking USC. I think he can get around Lincoln Riley, which would definitely be the Jalen Hurts path. Get in there with Lincoln and those offensive guys. Let them build you up for a year and then get out of there. But I don't know. He could come back. I think if he comes back to Alabama, it's on him. But I don't think he wants a repeat of whatever this was this year because I think it hurt his draft stock. But that's just me. I think he may transfer out.
Yeah, like here's where I think NIL makes this a much more interesting conversation because they're making so much money. I remember Nick Saban saying a while ago when NIL became a thing, he said, once you get named the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama, you're a millionaire. That guy is instantly a millionaire. And that's a testament to the brand that they built. But it also gives guys a little bit of pause about whether or not to make that jump. And it goes beyond football, right? Like, on the hardwood over at Auburn, it was reported Janai Broome got offered a 7 million. I'm sorry, it's not 7 million, a seven-figure deal to stay at Auburn for another year, right? Seven figures to stay in college, right? And just be the guy. Now, if it, so instead of being worried about risking injury and not getting that big payday, it makes you feel a little bit better about staying. So like I said, I think the money makes this a very different conversation. If you're Milrow, you're thinking, look, man, if I'm not a first rounder, what kind of money am I looking at? And is that money comparable to what I could make in NIL at Alabama next year, where I'm definitely going to be a Heisman candidate if I play another year, right? That's all I'm saying. I mean, I think the
What?
math, that's math that he's going through.
Well, let me interject right there because they did all of the right things to set him up for the Heisman run earlier this year. If everybody remembers, prior to the beginning of the season, he was doing his media runs on ESPN. He was
Hmm.
killing it too. Like he was a good speaker, very likable. All he had to do really was get out there, perform, and win, and he did that. When he beat Georgia, it was to the moon. And then Bandy had him looking at you sideways. I think the struggle against South Florida, and then Tennessee, but there were some struggles in between Bandy, Tennessee, and it just kind of, you know, crashed out. But that's just my bold prediction that he may end up at USC or somewhere that could develop a quarterback. That's just me.
Mm.
Um, Here's another
Doesn't
question.
say
I'll
a
let
lot
you jump
for
in on it.
doesn't say a lot for Kalen DeBoer.
I don't think it's a Kalen DeBoer issue. I think it's just Kalen doesn't have everything in place right now, and it's a timing thing because keep in mind we were originally supposed to have his guy who's with who ended up going to the Seattle Seahawks as the offensive coordinator. So there, and he was a lot of people saying the guru that was developing these quarterbacks. So he chose to stay out in Seattle, work for the Seahawks instead of coming to Bama. So DeBoer just doesn't have all the pieces that he had to develop his former quarterback at Washington. I'll let you answer this one first. We'll try to give about 60 seconds and then so we can get some more in. But how would you change the format of the playoffs?
8 teams. 8 teams. 12. 12. We got all this foolishness at 12. Right? All this thing, South Carolina and Bama. I mean, this thing is 8 teams. I always thought 12 was too much.
Well, I'll go lower than that. I've been screaming 16 playoff for the longest. I think you take five conference champions and one wild card. That's really all you need. That one wild card, and it could be from anywhere. And I know people saying, "Well, man, ain't a lot of games." No, because if you just do the five conference champions and the wild card, that automatically makes the conference championships the first round because whoever wins that game, you're going on. So that to me, I thought that would have been the better way. I think it would have kept the conference championships relevant, even more relevant. But that was just me. All right, let's see. Let's take a few more. Man, they have loaded these questions up. Gee whiz.
Yeah, I was
Here we
looking at
go.
the other side.
Yeah, it says, do you think Carson Beck will be able to return for Georgia in the playoff?
Uh, Kirby Smart said that he had an MRI done. Uh, yesterday, and they're still awaiting the results of the MRI. Whenever you do an MRI, it's usually not a good sign, but it also is just precautionary. So we'll see. He did come back in and hand that ball off at the end for the game-winning touchdown yesterday. So um, this is the beauty of getting that first round bye is that you have time to get him healthy, and I think that if he can play, he will. And we all know they're gonna shoot him up with that good stuff. Funny man, like he's going to get the good stuff for 2 weeks, right?
I'm
If it'll work.
I'm gonna disagree, and I watched closely the reaction of Georgia fans
Okay.
throughout the year, and when the backup came in, I think they've been waiting on this backup for a while due to all of his
Mm.
interceptions and them struggling through games, and you saw how that offense kicked it up a notch when he got in there. He put his shoulder down, kind of ran over somebody. The team is wolfing him up. I think they were ready for this. And as a Bama fan, I've seen this before with Tua and Jalen and Tua. I think that Georgia fan base was ready for that backup, and they got their wish.
Mm.
Here's one. What do you think of Clemson? I think my Clemson Tigers are mediocre at best. I think, even though I'm not a fan of Dabo, and that's a whole nother show. I think he's a proven winner at this point. I think Clemson is a solid program. I think they're getting better. I love how he turned that whooping from Georgia into a lesson for his team, and then they regrouped and they got better, and they won their conference and got into the playoff. I think they're a solid team, man. I think they're formidable. Don't agree with him and his NIL stuff, but he could talk his talk right now because he he's in the playoff and he doesn't do NIL like everybody else. So talk your talk, Dabo.
Yeah, the 12-team playoff really gave him space, I think, to con- stay on the path that he was on as far as how he treated NIL. Because if it was a 14 playoff, Clemson would be irrelevant right now.
All right, got this question. Will DeBoer fire any assistants? I'll let you weigh in first, Mike.
Ooh, will he fire any? I don't know that anything went that massively wrong at Alabama. It's just for staff changes. I mean, you competed in a lot of the. Oklahoma was the only head scratcher, but if you followed DeBoer, he's good for one of these a year. If you remember Washington versus Arizona State a couple of years ago, like they should have lost that game. I mean, Arizona State was just really that bad, but he's good for one of these a year. It just is what it is. I don't. Nothing stood out to me. I could be wrong, but nothing stood out to me where I would say, "Hey, fire that guy."
Nah, I'm with you on that. I think if anything, he needs to be fighting for continuity in the program and not making a lot of big changes. This way, the players can kind of start settling in. They know who they're coming back to. I think there were a lot of nerves, a lot of overthinking in a lot of games. But I think now, if you can bring back the core of your players. Of course, you're going to be losing a lot of leaders like Malachi is going to be out of here. Some of the transfers were seniors. But if you can keep some of the core young guys and then some of these coaches that they have become familiar with and see how it can look in year two, I think that would be the right move. And then, Mike, I want to let the Bama fans know they are having their annual gala tonight, and I got word from my guy
Okay.
down there that the energy amongst the players was really good. And he said that the theme
Mm.
amongst the Bama players and everybody was finish strong. That's their message right now. So that's what they're saying and promoting down there in Tuscaloosa right now. All right, let's get about two, maybe three more. But this one's for you, Mike. Why didn't Auburn, your university, why did they not hire Cadillac?
The world is just not ready for some things, and I won't
We're
leave it
not
at
talking
that.
about the world. We're talking
Uh,
about Lee County. Why did Auburn not hire Cadillac?
Lee County is just not ready for some things. uh, Look, at the end of the day, I think that there's a good old boy system in place, And I think if you're not a good old boy, you're not going to fit well in that system. And so they'll tolerate you to a certain extent, but not beyond that. And that's been Auburn for a while. Obviously, I attended that university. I love the community, but there are things about it that I do not love, and this is one of them. That's why you hire Hugh Freeze, because he'll come in and be a good old boy, right? And yeah, I mean that's it. I don't think I'm saying anything that it's not blatantly obvious to anybody who's ever just followed Auburn. Auburn just is what it is, right? You just hope the good old boy can win football games.
This is why I got him on, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted the truth. He's delivering it.
I'm trying to be so careful.
Yeah, no, I got the post. It ain't no secret how I feel about Auburn. There's still respect, but you know this Bama Auburn thing. But there were posts. Now it's one thing to make somebody an interim. That's normal. You do that. But Auburn, as I saw it, they literally paraded him as a hero of the program. And there was an energy, Mike. I know you remember there was an energy amongst the players. It turned into one, maybe two wins, not all wins, but some good showings. Like the team was playing with heart, even to the point where people were like, they may pull off the upset in the Iron Bowl. They didn't, but Cadillac got a lot of admiration from Alabama fans. He got the heart of Auburn fans, and I just thought for them to put the fireworks behind him and parade him as this hero and we're family, knowing damn well you're on the phone with somebody else, I was like, no good's gonna come of that, bro. And here we are now. Hugh Freeze has been what, 5-7. Last year was what? Did he get to 6 wins?
Six, 7.
I think the universe is speaking that was some dirty, dirty mess to do to somebody who loves that university. Like he loves some Auburn. He's one of the people I met. Ronnie Brown, interviewed him. Cadillac I couldn't get to, but you just know he loves Auburn University. And I think for them to parade him in that false manner, I said no good is gonna come of that.
Let me say this before we get to the last question, because Cadillac is a friend as well too. His wife, Evan, we all went to school together in the early 2000s, and we were part of that community together. Um, that Texas A&M game that year, where it was his first full game as interim coach. Funny man, the former play, almost all of his teammates from 2000, from that undefeated 2014, came back to Auburn for that game to support this man. They that It felt like the Super Bowl there. It was a crazy environment for a team with like 3 wins at the time. Nuts, absolutely insane. And for them, Cadillac means something. He means to that university what few players will ever mean. I'm talking about Charles Barkley, Bo Jackson. Like, he's in that pantheon of players that means so much to that university and that community. And I agree with you. I think there may be a little karmic energy in the universe around how that was. He was given an interview for the job. But I don't think it was a serious interview. And look, if you weren't going to give him the job, don't tease him with an interview like he's got a chance to get it. Just tell him like, look, man, you're not experienced, and we're gonna go a different direction, and just say what it is. But you're right. I the way they kind of paraded it, yeah, I agree with you. It was hard for me. And then how it ended as well too with him going to the Raiders. I did not like any of it.
And that's how we feel about that matter. So I just, it just as a Bama fan, I still, look at just the way people are, treated, and I thought that was not great. I saw a good question and then I lost it because my thing started rolling. We'll get one more, mic, then I get you up out of here. I know you want to go eat some soup or something, whatever. But here it is. thoughts on the Bama players that entered the portal today. I think at my last count there were three. Um, and I want to emphasize y'all that they only entered the portal. Entering the portal, as you guys will see for the next couple of weeks, does not mean automatically leaving. Most kids, I think some may have agents or somebody like a filler person right now. Most of them are just trying to see what's out there. Who's offering what money, who's going to give me playing time, who's going to, build around me. And then some may say, hey, who can get me, closer to the league. But I will say, I think once you put that Bama A on, I think you become a very hot commodity in that transfer portal. Um, Especially if you had it on under Nick Saban and probably still to a degree now. So I don't put too much stock in the kids leaving. I really don't, because as kids leave, kids are also gonna come in. We're gonna have some great recruits. This is just the nature of college football now. It is what it is. If I can get past losing Caleb Downs and Isaiah Bond, I can lose whoever we lost today. I wish them well.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's part of the game now, and when you are loaded with 4 and 5 star talent, now with the new portal rules, less handcuffing going on. You're going to see guys test the portal rather than sit and wait behind other 4 or 5 star talent with the same classification as them. Uh, for Alabama in particular, you just have to remember it's something that Auburn fans are not, I will admit, are not used to. Is when you're loaded with the more talent you have, the more opportunity you have for guys to hit the portal. Now the portal doesn't officially open until the 9th, which is tomorrow. So nobody actually officially entered the portal today. They announced their intentions, and what most people don't know, that I want to make sure I explain, is once you submit your paperwork, you have about 48 to 72 hours before they actually process it, where you can withdraw your name from consideration. And we've seen that happen a number of times in college football, where some guy was we hear he's submitted his paperwork, but they give you a grace period to pull your name out of it before that paperwork officially goes through. Because once it goes through, they do not have to accept you back. And more kids get lost in the portal than find the homes, and I think that goes understated.
Right. That's the big part of it that people don't talk about. Mike, before you get off, we got to talk basketball, because it looks like
Ah,
this is shaping up to be a Super Bowl on the hardwood, but it's going to be two Super
mm,
Bowls, because we're coming there and y'all got to come to us. I will say, y'all, I believe 2 years ago I had a chance to go to Bama down in the jungle, the Brandon Miller year. It was a top 10 experience. Y'all got something brewing down there, man, with the way that jungle. I'm still old school. I still call it Beard Eve, so don't mind me, but I know that's not the name. But the way that the students just are kind of on top of you, the way that it gets everybody else into the game is very intimidating. Bama did go down there and get a win. But let's talk about it, man. How are you feeling? Y'all have already got some big dubs under that couldn't get it done against Duke, but it's just looking like two of the top teams in the country right now.
yeah, look, Alabama can score, and I think that's one thing they've always been able to do under Nate Oates is score. Under Bruce Pearl, defense and turning teams over has been their signature, but this might be the best scoring squad he's had since that 2019 Final Four run. Um, Look, it was rumored that again, I said Janai Broom got 7 figures to return to Auburn, and that's paying. He's being mentioned as an early candidate for National Player of the Year. But they found shooting from the outside, and although Aiden Holloway defected to Tuscaloosa, uh, Tahad Pettiford looks every bit of a 5 star recruit right now, and he's showing it in the biggest games. When the lights are the brightest, this kid is going to hit a big shot, and he's going to drop 20 plus. Um, I like this is so good for our state where we don't have professional sports. And so outside of football season to have both basketball teams so highly regarded at this point in the season where they're not sneaking up on anybody, dude. They're king of the hill now, right? And that is shaping up to be a massive national showdown where the state of Alabama will have the all of college football basketball's eyes on it. It's so good, I think, for the people of our state, for the economy in our state and in and around the greater Birmingham area and the Auburn area. And I'm excited about what these two coaches have built. Like, look, we give Nate Oates a lot of crap down on the Plains, but he's a phenomenal basketball coach. And he can coach the X's and O's with the best of them. Uh, and I expect that both these teams will make the tournament this year. Hopefully, Auburn will not flub it in the first round again. I went out to Spokane for the flub. I was there. I'll tell you, it was a long trip to watch a 2-point loss to turn around and come back home. I'm doing that again. If I go out there, they're making it to the Sweet 16. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think both teams have something special. But Auburn is a little different this year, man. They got something that loss to Duke, and I don't know if you saw, but Missouri beat Kansas today. They beat Kansas today. So when that poll is released tomorrow, I'll be interested to see where they rank these two teams.
Dude, it's going. So, what type of real quick? What type of welcome is Aiden Holloway gonna get in the jungle, man?
The students are going to be unkind.
Yeah,
They're going to give him hell, and it's going to be fun. And I think it's going to be all good fun. It's not going to be truly vitriolic or anything like that. I just think that it's going to be in good fun. He defected to your rival, man, and then you picked up somebody, his replacement, who is good, is great. I think this is
yeah.
such a great storyline for this game. I can't wait for it. And we'll see how Aiden responds. I think it's going to test his mental in a way that is going to be good for him because if he goes on to play at the pro level, that's fans are very, very, very rough at that level as well too, and you just need to get used to it. So this will be a good warm up, I think, for both teams. But Aiden is going to get a not so warm welcome in Neville. It's going to be there will not be any cheering. I thought when Alan Flanagan came back after he went to Ole Miss that we would cheer. They booed his ass, so they definitely gonna boo Aiden. Like they definitely gonna boo
Yeah,
him.
it's gonna be one. I'm gonna definitely try my hardest to get down there for that one. But yeah, I think you said there's something different about this Auburn team, and I think it's a difference with both of them. There's like a new nastiness about them, and I would say I would give the nastiness edge to Auburn right now. Like they get up in your
Mm.
face. I remember y'all used to have Johnson. I just found out today he transferred. His highlights came KD. Is it KJ? KD Johnson?
Oh yeah, Katie Johnson, yeah.
So he's out. His highlights have been going viral. Apparently, wherever he transferred, he's doing really well. I had no idea he had left Auburn, but he used to be the energy nastiness guy to me for Auburn. And now it's like y'all got 5 or 6 of them, and that's just scary. The young man that I believe he got put out of the game the other night, he's kind of leading the charge now. I don't know his name, but you should
Chad
know him.
Baker Mazara, yeah.
Mazar, that's his name. So yeah, it's gonna be nasty, man. We got some young guys and some transfers. They got that little nasty streak in them, but I just don't think we've got as many. But I think Auburn may pull it out of them, especially how they treat Brother Holloway. So it's gonna be a good one, man. We'll all be tuned in. Let the people know about your show, and as you're doing that, I'm gonna write up a banner so people can see what it is. But I definitely want them to
Yeah,
check y'all out.
Yeah, do us a favor. We're on the hunt to hit 20,000 subscribers over at the War Report. So if you're watching this, I think I saw maybe like 700 people, all 700 of y'all. I know a lot of y'all are Bama fans, but it is truly love here. With our fellow brother, we're gonna talk our crap, but visit us at the War Report on every social media platform, but especially on YouTube. Hit that join button and then follow us on social media at the War Report on Twitter, TW Report on TikTok. Follow me at Mike Gittens on Twitter. And I got a new thing going on, funny man. I'm actually doing Locked On UCF. So check that show out on YouTube as well. Locked On UCF helped get me to 1,000 subscribers there. We just started that a few weeks ago, and it's going really well.
Yeah, somebody just called me out in the comments. I did at the beginning, Mike. Told him I was going to only do 30 minutes tonight, but it got good, man. We got a good guest. You got, sometimes you got to go out, whatever, what you complaining about, man. So we right at 59 minutes. Mike G, thank you so much, brother, for jumping on. Everybody, especially my Auburn fans on here, make sure you follow the War Report on YouTube and everything else. Sure appreciate it. And hey, man, it's might do this, might do a pop-up podcast at any time. You never know. There's a lot of basketball to be played, a lot of playoffs to be played. Bama's not in it, Auburn's not in it, but we'll be watching and we'll have opinions. So, other than that, man, y'all have a great rest of your night. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.
War
Appreciate you,
Eagle.
Mike. Shut up. Roll Tide. Last word.